Can the Nile and the sky and the trees change? I had changed, so why not the Nile and the color of the trees? When I opened the window every morning, I could see the Nile flow by, contemplate the green of the water and the trees, the vivid green light in which everything seemed to bathe, feel the power of life, of my body, of the hot blood in my veins, my body filled with a warmth as soft as the touch of the silken clothes in which I dressed, or the silken bed in which I slept. My nose filled with the fragrance of roses wafted across the open spaces. I let myself sink in this feeling of warmth and softness, drown in the perfume of gentle roses, savor the comfort of the silken sheets as I stretched my legs, and of the smooth pillow under my head. I drank in the liquid softness through my nose, my mouth, my ears, through every pore in my body with a thirst which knew no end. At night, moonbeams flowed over me, silky and white, like the fingers of the man who lay by my side. His nails, too, were clean and white, not like the Bayumi's nails, which were black as the night, nor like my uncle's nails, with their edge of dark earth on the underside. I would close my lids and let my body bathe in the silvery light, let the silken fingers touch my face and lips, move down to my neck and bury themselves between my breasts. I would nurse them between my breasts for a while, leave them to slip down over my belly and then below it to the place between my thighs. Deep inside my body, I could feel a strange trembling. At first it was like pleasure, a pleasure akin to pain. It ended with pain, a pain which felt like pleasure. It belonged to a distant past, had been with me somehow right from the beginning. I had experienced it long ago, but forgotten it at the time. Yet it seemed to go back even further than my life, to some day before I was born, like a thing arising out of an ancient wound, in an organ which had ceased to be mine, on the body of a woman who was no longer me. One day I asked Sharifa, "Why don't I feel anything?" "We work, Firdaus, we just work. Don't mix feeling with work." "But I want to feel," Sharifa exclaimed. "You will get nothing out of feeling except pain." "Is there no pleasure to be had, even the slightest pleasure?" She burst out laughing. I could see her small white pointed teeth with the gold tooth in the middle. She went quiet all of a sudden and looked at me gravely and then said, "Does it not give you pleasure to eat roast chicken and rice? Does it not give you pleasure to wear these soft, silky clothes? Do you not feel pleasure at living in this warm, clean house with its windows overlooking the Nile? Does it not give you pleasure when you open the window every morning and look out at the Nile and the sky and the trees? Isn't all this sufficient for you? Why do you ask for more?" It was not out of greed that I was thinking of other things. One morning I had opened the window as usual, but the Nile was no longer there. I knew the Nile was in the same place, its waters stretched out before my eyes, but I could no longer see it, as though the human eye is incapable of seeing what is within its reach. The perfumes which I had all around me under my nose, they too had disappeared. I was unable to detect their odor, as though my nose, just like my eyes, could no longer register the things which were there in front of it. The softness, the silk, the comfortable bed, all the things I knew were still there, no longer existed for me. I never used to leave the house. In fact, I never even left the bedroom. Day and night, I lay on the bed, crucified, and every hour a man would come in. There were so many of them, I did not understand where they could possibly have come from, for they were all married, all educated, all carrying swollen leather bags and swollen leather wallets in their inner pockets. Their swollen heavy paunches hung down with too much food, and their sweat ran copiously, filling my nostrils with a fetid smell like stagnant water, as though it had been held back in their bodies for a long time. I turned my face away, but they insisted on pulling it back, on burying my nose in the smell of their bodies. They dug their long nails into my flesh, and I would close my lips tightly, trying to stifle any expression of pain, to hold back a scream. But in spite of my efforts, they would part and let out a low, muffled moan. Often the man would hear it and mutter stupidly in my ear, "Do you feel good?" In answer, I would purse my lips and prepare hair to spit on his face, but he would start biting them with his teeth. I could feel the thick saliva between my lips, and with a push of the tongue set it back into his mouth. Among all these men, there was only one man who was not stupid and did not ask me if I was feeling good. Instead, he queried, "Do you feel any pain?" "Yes," I said. "What's your name?" "Firdaus. And you?" "I'm Fauzi." "How did you realize I was feeling pain?" "Because I feel you." "You can feel me?" I exclaimed with amazement. "Yes," he said. "What about you? Do you also feel me?" "I don't feel anything." "Why?" "I do not know. Sharifa told me work is work and that feelings do not come in where work is concerned." He gave a short laugh and kissed me on the lips. "Sharifa's fooling you and making money out of you, and while all you get out of it is the pain." I cried. He wiped my tears away and took me in his arms. I closed my eyes and he kissed me gently on the lids. I heard him whisper, "Do you want to sleep?" "Yes." "Then sleep in my arms." "But what about Sharifa?" "Don't be afraid of Sharifa." "And you, aren't you afraid of her?" He gave another of his short laughs and said, "She's the one who fears me." I was still asleep in my bed, with my eyes closed, when I heard soft voices coming from beyond the wall separating Sharifa's room from mine. I heard her speaking to a man whose voice sounded familiar. "You're going to take her away from me." "I shall marry her, Sharifa." "Not you. You don't marry. That's all over. Now I'm older and want a son." "So that he can inherit your wealth?" "Don't be sarcastic at my expense, Sharifa. If I wanted, I could have become a millionaire. But I'm a man who lives for the pleasures of life. I earn money to spend it. I refuse to be a slave either to money or to love." "Do you love her, Fauzi?" "Am I capable of love?" "You told me once that I had lost the ability to love." "You neither love nor marry. All you want to do is take her away from me, just as you took Camellia away before. It was Camellia who came with me. She fell in love with you, didn't she?" "So women love me. Is that my fault?" "Woe betide any woman that loves you, Fauzi. That's if I'm not in love with her myself." "And can you love a woman?" "Sometimes it does happen." "Were you in love with me once?" Are you going to start harking back at that question again? I haven't got time to waste, as you know, and I'm taking Firdaus with me. You're not taking her. I am taking her. Are you threatening me, Fauzi? I'm not afraid of your threats anymore. You can't get the police in on me. I have more friends and connections in the police than you have. Am I a man who has recourse to the police? Only a weak man needs to do that. And do you think I'm a weak man, Sharifa? What do you mean? You know what I mean. You're going to beat me up, is that it? It's a long time since I last hit you. It looks as though you're yearning for a good hiding. If you hit me, I will hit back, Fauzi. That's fine. We'll see who's the stronger of the two. If you so much as lay a finger on me, I will get Shauki on you. Who the hell is this Shauki of yours? Do you have other men? Do you have another man? Are you in love with someone else? Do you dare? I was unable to hear Sharifa's reply through the wall. Perhaps her voice was so low that it did not reach me, or he may have covered her mouth with his hand before she could say anything more, for I heard what seemed to me the sound of a hand being clapped over a mouth, followed by another sound, very much like that of someone's hand patting a face. Then came a series of muffled noises. I was unable to tell whether they were gentle slaps on the face or violent kisses. But after a short while, I heard Sharifa protesting. No, Fauzi, no! His voice sounded like an angry hiss. No! No what, you slut? The bed creaked under them. Then once again I heard Sharifa's voice like a series of gasps, followed by the same protesting tone. No, Fauzi, for the Prophet's sake, you must not. You must not. Through the wall came his panting, angry hiss again. What the hell, woman? Must not what? And Prophet what? Who is this Shauki? I'll cut his throat. The creaking grew louder under the weight of the two bodies as they embraced each other, wrestling with one another, alternately closing in and separating in a continuous movement, which soon mounted to a strangely rapid, almost mad frenzy, shaking the bed underneath them violently with the shudders of a wild animal short of breath. The floor seemed to shake and pant. Then it was the wall. Even the bed on which I was lying picked up the frenzied rhythm and began to shake. The violent shaking went to my head. It was as though I had awakened suddenly to what was going on around me. I saw Fawzi's face take shape out of the mist, as if in a dream, and I heard his voice echoing in my ears again. "Sharifa's fooling you. She's making money out of you." Then came Sharifa's voice, and she said, "If you hit me, Fawzi, I will hit you back." I opened my eyes. My body was stretched out on the bed, without a man beside me, and the room around was dark and empty. I walked on the tip of my toes to Sharifa's room and found her lying naked with Fawzi on her side. I tiptoed back to my room, but I put the first dress on I could lay my hands on, took my little bag, and hurried down the flights of stairs into the street.